Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian.
Because you always use that active when defenders have been given like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on.
And with an introduction like that, special guest settings, Mo, how you doing, man? I know you're pressed for time, so we're gonna get it straight to it, man. How you been? What are you saying for this season? What's your thoughts on Arsenal versus Bournemouth, man? We have to get straight into it.
I have been smug. I have been unbearable. I have been arrogant as
Sound
hell.
like myself.
I've been enjoying it, man. How about you?
I mean, Cloud9 settings, really. I mean, we spoke about it earlier on in the season in August. You know, to say what we're doing now, while the job isn't done yet. I would have thought that you've either taken some sort of drug or you're a fortune teller. And I'm happy with what Mikel Arteta is doing. If we look at, what I would say the plan was to go as far as you could in Europa League in the champs. We've done that and excelled in terms of everything we want to see on the pitch. If we're looking at this league title, there's probably a little couple things we need to tweak, considering the Bournemouth game when I removed my emotion. Whether the first goal should have been ruled out or not, bro, we shouldn't start a game like that. We let ourselves down via a set piece. But as I said, the mentality, and all of them things are there. It's not always how good you are when you're doing well. It's when you're losing, and we keep snatching wins here and there. And you need to put that on a board if you're going to win a league title, man. What's your thoughts on the game and everything else, man?
Yeah, look, the Bournemouth game, you're one of the few people that's talked about it from an analysis point of view, where you're saying we could have done a few things better, etc. Because it was such a mad game. It's hard to not get caught up in the emotion. It's hard not just to talk about the incredible end. Basically, most of the comments about that game only focused on 20 seconds of the game, the first 10 seconds, the last 10 seconds.
Facts.
And in between that, yeah, like you say, there's a lot that we should be doing better. But it's one of those games where, in a way, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from and correct. But as fans, you almost kind of want to focus on the good, because that's for the manager to do. As fans, you want to just enjoy that buzz, that hype, and give the team credit, because the way they responded deserves a lot of credit. They put a nail in the heart of Man City in that game, because trust me, Man City would have been watching. It's nice when you play first. You get your work done nice and early.
And you get to watch everyone else, yeah.
You imagine the Man City players. I reckon on some level, maybe a big level, they think, no, we will win the title because we're Man City. It's just what we do. And Arsenal's that
annoying thing that just won't go away right now.
Yeah, but I reckon that surely, if you were to ask them, you're never going to be able to have conversations with footballers where they're not guarded. But when you're being completely unguarded, imagine Kevin De Bruyne talking to his kids, and they're like, "Daddy, will we win the league?"
He can't give a definitive answer. He's gonna have to say, yeah. But in the back of his mind, boy, I don't know what he'd really be thinking.
DG, I think deep down he'd be thinking, yeah, of course we're going to win the league. Don't be silly. Of course we're going to win the league. We're Man City, and this is not. I think they must be thinking that, boy. So for me, this would have been a dagger in the heart, because they would have imagined it being oh, here we go. This is what we've been expecting. Like many other people would be as well. This is what we've been expecting. Arsenal to slip up, and then we're going to do that. And he's like, what the hell? But that's what title winners do. What we did against Villa, what we've done now against Bournemouth, it's hold on a second, that's what title winners do. But people must be thinking, when's my prophecy going to come through?
Yeah.
That they're going to flop.
That we're going to crumble, yeah.
Before the Everton game, people were like, oh, I appreciate that, Clement. Respect, man. Listen, before the Everton game, after the Everton game, I said to people, if you didn't believe before, you better believe now. And that's because we showed absolute silk. We were brilliant, yeah? And then after the Bournemouth game, I was saying the same thing. If you didn't believe before, you better believe now, because we showed a whole different aspect of what title-winning teams need. That steel, that resilience, that never-say-die attitude. It was incredible. But I have to say, look, if we're going to kind of take away from the emotion and speak about the reality of the game, I'm not ever going to complain about VAR not checking that, because look, they didn't score that goal because they were 1 yard into our half.
We switched off.
Yeah, we just backed off. We backed off. Cross comes in. Gabriel should have cleared it. Went under his foot. Saliba wasn't aware and awake in terms of.
Parties let the runner go. Odegaard the same as well. Watching that game again, bro.
So that is completely our fault. I take that on the chin. I'd rather focus on Aaron Ramsdale's save, man, to keep it.
The 19th minute. I know the one you're referring to. That was terrible defending from us. He got us out of jail there, man.
Big time. Because you imagine that goes in, then they're going to score for the goal from the corner. You're not coming back from 3-0. And that chance that they had where he saved it, there was no chance, including every single goal, with a higher XG than that. So it just puts into perspective Aaron Ramsdale's work on that save. And what I loved about it, right, it was odd because I'm North Bank, so I was right behind that.
Yeah, you're right behind it, yeah.
Yeah, and when he came across, like, just the intensity, like the confidence with which he moved across, like, I actually felt like he was going to save it. I was expecting him to save it.
Off his line early.
That's a good chance. So he got us out of jail, man.
He got us out of prison, man.
The North Bank, like, properly let him know how much we appreciated that, because it was an incredible bit of goalkeeping. And then 2-0 down, Thomas Partey switching off. And, yeah, just not what you expect of him. But after that, after he switched off for that goal, he was a different
He was a monster in that game, man.
Yeah, took control, proper performance. And it's the sort of thing where Man United could have done with 11 Thomas Parteys when they went 2-0 down at Anfield, man. Because
they could have done with some Rob Holdings and on their days. To be fair with you, they would have put in a better shift than them boys at Anfield, really.
Absolutely. Listen, instead of folding like cardboard, Thomas Partey, he stepped up, man. He just
really
said, you know
did,
what?
man.
This is not going to be the story of my afternoon, and I'm gonna change it. And how well, obviously, you got the first goal. Brilliant work from Emile Smith-Rowe. You don't expect Emile Smith-Rowe to get up for those sorts of headers, put it into such a dangerous area. Did very well for that. And that, again, that's something that went a bit unnoticed.
Need to score goals like that sometimes, man.
Absolutely, yeah. And Thomas Partey stealing into the back post, but all because Emile Smith-Rowe put it into such a good area. You know, he didn't panic. And then Partey's work for the second goal, incredible. Really, really good work.
Forcing the issue on the edge of the area.
Exactly, forced the issue. And the little feint with the shot beforehand, and then got the lucky break. But the ball he played for Nelson took the right back out of the game. Really, really good. So we had a few people that really said in that second half, that's it, we're stepping up. And Ramsdale, he couldn't do anything about the goal, the second goal especially. But yeah, he stepped up for us big time. And that's what you need, man. If you're going to win a title, if you're going to challenge, sort of thing you need from your players.
That's exactly like you said there. I want to ask you, who would you say is the man of the match then? Because, like you said, a lot of people are debating. I think Ramsdale's not been given a couple of clean sheets like against Bournemouth that he deserves. But as you mentioned it, I think Partey was superb, barring his mistake. Obviously, you have to, for me, you kind of have to give it to Reiss Nelson. Yeah. I'm probably missing out, but you could even argue Benjamin White, because you saw a different Bukayo Saka when he was next to Benjamin White, as opposed to obviously Tomiyasu initially. So who'd you go man of the match?
Reiss Nelson, for sure.
What do you make of Nelson?
Do you know what? He kind of like slapped me in the face with something I already knew after the
reminding you of his talent.
And not just that, but the fact that he is our most traditional out-and-out winger in this Arsenal squad. Because, yes, we have players that play in that position, but they're not wingers. They're wide forwards. And there's a massive, massive difference.
Massive difference.
A winger is a type of person that will look at his man who's marking him and say, I'm going to give you hell today, you know? And that's what Reiss Nelson did. 100% of his dribbles were successful. That's what a winger does. That's what a winger looks at.
That's comment on the live stream.
How they deliver, yeah? And he was just incredible. Assist, goal, took on his man repeatedly, beat his man repeatedly, just absolutely incredible. And how calm was he?
He's the calmest man in the stadium when he bagged, bro.
And you know what I loved as well, DG? You remember this, yeah? A couple of minutes before he scored, he had a shot, right-footed, curled it, catching practice for the keeper. And I actually saw him apologise to his teammates, you know, because it was a bit of a tame shot.
Yeah, it was a silly option. I remember that.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't mind him taking that option. We need to win the game, so we need to get shots off. He did it, but it was just a poor shot. And then from that on his favoured foot, and then a shot where you're having to apologise to teammates to the winner.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely
crazy. How was he that cool? And how, just like he did against Nottingham Forest earlier on this season, yeah, where he played not expecting to even come on and then had a blinder, scored 2 goals in 3 second-half minutes.
Yeah.
How does he come on and look so match sharp after not playing for months?
Weren't even in the last match 2 squads, and Mikel Arteta said it was a footballing decision. Where do you make of it? Because I'm pretty sure you've seen yourself, after a performance like that with his contract running out, there's rumours Arsenal want to give him a new deal. Would you give him a new deal? Do you think this is his probably not last chance saloon, but potentially last chance to stake a claim? As you put earlier, there's competition for places, and although I like Nelson, I want him to do it. With respect to him, he's got to kind of do this every week, because that is what Saka, Martinelli, and Smith Rowe last season were undertaking.
Yeah, but I would definitely give him a new contract because of the thing that I pointed out earlier, that he is our most out-and-out winger in the squad. So on that basis, he has to have a new deal, in my opinion. And I hope that he does go on and push on from this. But when I think about this, right, how many appearances has he had in the league for us season?
This season, probably not even touching double figures. He's been on the bench a lot. He's been injured a lot. He's had some great moments, especially if we win the league title. I think 6 to 8.
Yeah, really. I'm going to find out. Let me have a look at this. Right, well, how is it not even coming up? I'm on the Premier League website. Oh, there we go. Second page. Reiss Nelson, 3 appearances. Look at him.
Yeah, he's even less than I thought. So yeah, when you look at the numbers like that, boy. Yeah. It's not really good. He's never really been in a consistent team, really. The most consistent appearances he's made is when looking at it now, he got his 63 minutes against Forest, where he said 2 goals and assists, was on the bench against Chelsea. Then he got a minute against Wolves, and then he was injured for the foreseeable future. Made the bench against City and Aston Villa a few weeks ago, weren't in the squad for the next 2 weeks. And
he said 85 minutes. He's had 85 minutes in the league. Can you believe that? This kid has had 85 minutes in the league, and he's got 3 goals. So when you try and analyze a squad and knowing that you need certain players that are going to be happy to be on the bench, but then also that still are good enough to have an impact. Reiss Nelson's that guy, man. So I feel like, yeah, he's never going to be necessarily starting for us unless he plays like this every week. But I would try and keep him happy and keep him involved, because times like this, it comes into its own, especially next season. We're going to have if we carry on like this, we're going to go deep into competitions. You're going to need players that you can just say
next year as well, man, where you can't take it lightly.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would give Reiss Nelson a new contract. And you know what? Like, I really like the guy. I think it speaks about his professionalism that he's ready to come on after not playing and play that well, not just once in a season, twice in a season, Forest now and then Bournemouth. So clearly he's not just sitting there chilling with his feet up. And you would have noticed this as well after the game. How abundantly clear was it? How over the moon his teammates were for him.
Yeah, that's a sign of a man that is loved in his dressing room, and further confirms, the togetherness the boys have. As I said, for me, Reiss Nelson looked like the calmest player in the stadium. Saliba was acting like he scored. Martinelli's kicking the ball. There's just so much to unpack in that, and it's like you said. It's just, for me, it's just about staying fit now. He seems like one of them lads. Everybody has different levels of self-confidence, but he seems like one of them lads where it's kind of a confidence thing more than anything. But as Arteta touched on, these experiences have made him stronger, and it's literally now is your time, because you mentioned it, going back to the Nottingham Forest game, I thought basically what he did in that game, this was now your chance to stake a claim for your spot. But obviously the man got injured. What did you make of, keeping up the theme with squad players, before I forget, what did you make of Fabio Vieira and Tomiyasu? Because I have to apologize to Fabio Vieira. When I watched the game the first time, weren't really convinced with anything he did. When I watched it a second time, I'd still say a 5 or 6 out of 10. Don't think he grabbed the opportunity with both hands like Tomiyasu. And I think there's a lot more to come. But I think he did all right. And there was a couple of positive actions watching it again from Fabio, to be fair.
Yeah, and even Fabio Vieira, he has had an impact this season. When he's had opportunities, he has contributed. Unfortunately, he didn't grab it by the scruff of the neck like I would have seen, because I remember that it was a Newcastle game. It wasn't Ødegaard's day that day. And I was saying to people after the game, 15 minutes? Give Fabio Vieira at least 15 minutes, because Vieira has got something, in my opinion, that not a lot, or maybe any people in the team has got. He's got that real eye of the needle pass, like, because Ødegaard is a ball player. He needs to dictate that tempo. He needs the ball. Fabio Vieira can actually be less controlling of the ball and of the game, but just pick it up any moment and deliver that perfect pass.
As he showed against Villa off the bench for Martinelli, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. And by his standards, that was easy. But actually, he can do eye of the needle. And also, he's got a good long-range effort as well. So,
as we've seen, yeah.
And against low blocks, that's very, very important. Just like against low blocks, it's very important that you can have a traditional winger that is equally adept going on the outside or the inside. Because clearly, Saka, Martinelli, they've got the preference to cut in. Yeah. And against low blocks, it's easier to defend.
You're just running into traffic, really.
Yeah, and we're going to find that a lot now. You know, people respect Arsenal now. So they're going to defend against us. They're going to treat us in a particular way, especially at home. And we need players that can unlock that. So, yeah, with Fabio Vieira, you and I, DG, we've been around Arsenal long enough to know that much, much better players, legends of our club, have come and struggled for quite a few months. And eventually they come good. Santi Cazorla was not the Santi Cazorla we remember in the first 6 months, for example. Never mind the Vieiras, the Bergkamps, the Henrys. So we have to give him time.
You finish, man. You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you make of Tomiyasu?
Yeah, Tomiyasu, it's a shame. He's a very good defender. He's a very, very good, solid defender. But it just wasn't his game. It is hard to come into the team, even though Reiss Nelson makes it look easy.
Yeah, he almost makes the point redundant.
Yeah, and just sort of hit the ground running every single time. But Tomiyasu will come good. He's a very accomplished defender. And it's a weird one because if we were to go, like, let's say, away at Liverpool, where some people get battered 7-0, I might say I'd rather Tomiyasu go up against Salah, for example.
Yeah, like he did at the Emirates, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I kind of feel like when he's on it, he's a very, very tough defender to beat. So I've got no concerns with Tomiyasu. My major concern is Kieran Tierney. And I'll ask you.
Save the Tierney. Save it. We're getting there. Save it. I wanted to ask you as well, just by looking at Tomiyasu, I agree with everything you said. I think people need to come and probably understand he's never really going to be the most glamorous, but when it's a 1v1 job, it's a day in the trenches. That's the man. Obviously, he's very versatile. He can play centre half as well, so I wouldn't downlook his versatility. I just feel maybe potentially, do you feel with what we've got with Zinchenko on the left-hand side, the next evolution on this side could be, I know Benjamin's doing his thing, but finding a second choice right back that's more closely to Zinchenko, so somewhat we can mimic what we do on the left, on the right. Do you think Tomiyasu would kind of suffer via that?
Yeah, I don't think Tomiyasu's the guy for that. And I'm not sure Ben White is either, to be honest with you. So you could be right that we might look for that, but we won't play that with both fullbacks. That's only ever for one. Because when they tuck inside, yeah, you get the extra midfielder, you get the extra ball player, but you do leave space in that channel. And I have seen teams try to start to exploit that a little bit. Let's remember
that's what they do against us. Knock it into the channels, first and second balls, and get further up the pitch.
Yeah, but especially that right channel. Let's not forget Aston Villa. Remember that incredible Ramsdale save from Leon Bailey? Yeah, down that right-hand side. They did that a few times. It's not a surprise that when we get countered, it's down the right-hand side because, you know, that's where our left, Zinchenko's tucked in to provide that extra option. So, you know, back in the day, people, the sage advice used to be don't let both fullbacks cross the halfway line. Yeah. You don't want both attacking. Obviously, Liverpool throw caution to the wind. They do what the hell they want. But that typically used to be the thing, one or the other. And that's because, you know, you get pillared if you do that. So it's almost the same thing in this new modern day tactical setup where instead of that left back being like racing forward, what he's doing is influencing the game in a different way and actually freeing up a midfielder, in our case, often Granit Xhaka, to go further forward and sometimes underlap rather than the traditional left back overlapping the winger or the wide forward, in our case, you know, Martinelli or whatever. So if you do that with both, again, those channels are both free. Your central defenders are going to be absolutely exposed. So if we do get a right back to do that job, like you're saying, then actually that might breathe a bit of life into Tierney's Arsenal career because you won't necessarily be asking Zinchenko to do that very tactical job if a right back is doing it. But I wouldn't be surprised if we just put all of our eggs in one basket there with Zinchenko to do that job because he's so good, so reliable, and it's hard to find that caliber player. And I've said about Zinchenko this season that he's almost like the manager on the pitch. The
Yeah,
way he
him, Jorginho and Xhaka, as well as even I'd extend that to Odegaard. They're almost like extensions of the coaching stuff, further reflecting what Arteta wants, man. I think you're right. Bang on the money with that one.
Yeah, so that's it, But we'll see. There's a movement on the fullbacks, I think, to if not the right hand side, certainly the left hand side, and you'll talk about that in your own time then with Tierney.
Nah, we're gonna get into it, man. I just wanted to get Tobiasu out of the way. Kieran Tierney, man, where are you at with this? Because I think Zinchenko, previous months ago, probably would have said Gabriel Jesus is our signing of the summer. It's clearly probably Zinchenko at this moment. Where do you stand with Tierney? Because I think you need a traditional fullback. I feel considering Tierney signed a new deal under Mikel Arteta, he's a valued member. I don't think he's kicking up a fuss and down in tools, but he will want to leave. I think him being 25 years of age, we need to get top money. I think he's been done a bit unlucky that the evolution of the squad, Zinchenko's been available. He's taking him to the next level. And to a degree, I think if you're going to play for Arsenal on a regular basis, you're going to have to become something you're not. You're not 25 years of age. You've got here playing for Scotland, playing for Arsenal, just being a traditional fullback. Zinchenko's the centre mid that's found himself at left back. So I kind of think he's kind of doomed in that, even though you've probably seen yourself when Tierney does come onto the pitch, he does try his best to do that inverted role, but it's not just him. My issue would be is that we're going to be in the Champions League. Tierney starts at a lot of clubs. He carries resale value. If he goes to Newcastle, Villa or Leicester, teams he'd been linked with, especially Newcastle, they're not going to cut us any favours. We're strengthening rivals, essentially, bro. So where you
exactly.
Tierney,
I don't want to sell him to Newcastle.
I
don't. And actually, I love Kieran Tierney. Before Odegaard took this captaincy and made it his own, I wanted Tierney to be captain.
That was a shout of many of us.
And let's not forget, at one point, he was our sole attacking threat. Remember when things weren't going well for Arsenal? Yeah. It was Tierney and Inshallah. That was the tactic.
Exactly that.
Yeah, man.
What a throwback, man.
Exactly. We forget those days.
You've come a long way, man. Jeez.
We really do. But anyway, I really like Kieran Tierney. I'd love to keep him at the club, but I, like you, expect him to want to go. We have to make good money on him because he's a talented player. But unfortunately, people might not like what I'm going to say here, but Arsenal are almost a little bit boring. Like Man City are a little bit boring. Yeah. Incredible football. But I feel like if you get like a neutral or if you get a layman, just the average person watching a football game, like, people doing the World Cup, if they watch Arsenal Man City, you're not on the edge of your seat. If you watch Liverpool, you're on the edge of your seat. If you watch PSG, you're on the edge of your seat.
I get
if anyone's seen PSG play, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, they don't even bother coming back.
Harlem Globetrotters over there, really.
Exactly, yeah. They leave themselves open at the back. And when they're attacking, Messi's producing magic, Neymar's producing magic, Mbappe, crazy talent, loads of pace. It's like, wow, this is fun. Liverpool, edge of your seat, the way they play. And Arsenal and Man City are so tactical in the way they set up.
That's just a cerebral approach from their managers.
Yeah, and it requires like a trained eye to appreciate it and not find it boring, right? Someone that knows what football's about, why certain things are happening. You have to find appreciation in how players vacate their positions to overload and create these overloads.
The spaces they hold as well. You're right on that. You need to definitely be able to have a trained eye to see that. You're right.
Exactly that. And Tierney's not that guy. Unfortunately, Tierney's a guy that will do much better doing a Hakimi role at PSG, for example, or a Robertson role at Liverpool. So, unfortunately for him, when he signed for Arsenal, we weren't this team, but now we are that team, and I don't think that's where his strong points lie.
You're right.
But equally, when I look at Newcastle, is Eddie Howe, with such a focus of defensive solidity, going to be saying to him, that's it, go left back and do what Trippier does for us? I don't think so. So even though I've heard the Newcastle rumours, I'm not 100% sure about that. But who knows?
That's the thing, man. And it's just, for me, it's like whatever money you get from Newcastle, whoever he goes, you're going to have to reinvest that. Like, forgive me, Arsenal fans, but I don't think Tavares is the answer. He's doing great over there at Marseille. Again, a lot of fantastic attacking highlights, not really seeing the same sort of energy around defending. You need to be able to defend, and you definitely need to be less wasteful in the final third. Yeah, he can be a loose cannon, and some games that can help you, as he showed, but I don't think he's the option. So you're going to have to go and spend that anyways, really. And it's just the fact for me, don't do anybody any favors, because for Newcastle, provided he can stay fit, that's a great signing for them. He reflects what they're trying to do. He's got a wealth of experience. He's been at Arsenal and Celtic. Again, he's 25 years of age, so there's longevity there. So it just doesn't make sense with me. I forgot to mention, but how do you feel about Balogun coming back into the squad next season?
My days. What an exciting prospect.
Very exciting, bro. Very excited.
I mean, you just had a comment before that where someone spoke about Tierney for Bruno Guimaraes as a makeshift deal. And we'll talk about that after. But lovely. Just quickly on Balogun, I mean, it's funny, right? Because talking about Hale End again now, yeah? When I watch academy games, and I always try and stay close to it, much harder now, I've got a kid. But before I used to be quite, like, I knew my talent coming through. And I remember Reiss Nelson was so
different
hype. He was on the radar big time. And I've always said the one that completely missed me was Saka. I did not expect him to be the guy that he is. I didn't expect to be that guy. I
think everyone's got. They just keep surprising, even down to what he's doing this season, man. I think that's the strength of his, really.
Never picked him up as a world beater, but I did with Reiss Nelson, I did with Smith Rowe, I did with Nketiah, and I did with Balogun as well. Balogun, for me, I've always looked at him and I thought, wow. I've always viewed it as Nketiah being more clinical, Balogun being the better all-round player.
What's more to his game, yeah.
And it's funny because now Nketiah, his all-round game has improved so much. But Balogun, my God, how clinical has he become? So it's an interesting one. If Balogun comes back into the fold next year, which for me he has to, what happens to Nketiah?
This is the thing. This is where now we're getting good questions, and this is where Edu probably needs to get better at selling players, because in the long term, not everyone from Hayland's going to be here for the rest of their career. Can we make top money? If I was to guess, and skipping ahead to the summer with Mikel Arteta in pre-season, I think Jesus and Nketiah, because Aiden Nketiah is our second choice striker, potentially Trossard as well, they'd all probably start ahead of Balogun. I think if Balogun wants to stay, him and the gaffer have to have an honest conversation. What have you improved at? What do you need to improve at? What do these guys have that you don't? Maybe give it 6 months until January and try and rework the situation. But with it being 2023, I believe he's contracted until 2025. As you touched on, he's playing week in, week out, bro. He's competing with the top stars for golden boots and things like that. Would he necessarily have to? Obviously, his expectations of playing time would have to be adjusted, but it's almost like being given a taste of something and you can't go back. So I think it's a genuine question for Balogun to have, really.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. And also people in the comments, yeah? Imagine Graham Potter at Chelsea. You don't have a recognised striker. Summer transfer window comes round. And I'm not suggesting they'll be after these players, but you have the choice for a top team that needs a striker between Nketiah and Balogun. Who would you go for?
Right now, you're obviously going to go for Balogun because he's scoring the goals, he's making the difference and things like that. I think for Eddie Nketiah, he's kind of just, he's gone from being on the peripheral things to a genuine rotation option. And I think although he's not necessarily as clinical as he could be, he did do all right in terms of scoring. He did look a bit flat out. But that's where I think there's a luxury of where Balogun's not going to be afforded that if he signs for Arsenal, because you do it, I do it. Everything you touch turn to gold. When he's at Arsenal, everything else is under the microscope. And he was kind of probably judged a bit too early the first 3 games of last season. So it all depends. I think Balogun's players improved, but I think the general play's got to go up another level, bro. What did you say?
Yeah, but let's not forget, he was chucked in for that Brentford game, remember?
Yeah, he was done extremely dirty there, man.
Yeah, he did get done dirty. But see, that's the point. If you're a top club looking for Nketiah or Balogun as your options, and I'm not saying any club is going to be faced with that, it's just hypothetical. Balogun's the guy right now.
Yeah, you go with Balogun. He looks like more close to a match winner.
Yeah, so if you look at it objectively like that, who would a top club choose? Why would we choose Nketiah over Balogun?
True. So let me flip the question then. All right, let's just say, let's say I've seen everything online from 35 million to 50 million. Let's just assume we get the top end 50 million. If that money could be reinvested to one of the more household strikers, and Arteta is 100% convinced he wants to sign a top forward, kind of the Jesus ilk or better.
Victor Osimhen.
Even that, if would you do it? Would you sacrifice Balogun to bring one of them guys in?
For Victor?
For anyone, it could be Victor, it could be any striker you like in this world that's fairly realistic, that brings us to a next level. With it being Champions League next year, Osimhen looks different class as well.
100% Osimhen. Listen, who are the best strikers around right now? But
there's too many out and out number 9s apart from him and maybe a couple of others. You're scratching your head really for pure.
Let's be honest about this. It's Haaland, Kane, Osimhen.
Yeah, you summed it up perfectly there. Yeah,
that's it. And I'd love to get Kane. I know Arsenal fans aren't going to like to hear it.
Not for Kane to return better yet.
Really? I'd love to get Kane. That's obviously not going to happen. So we're not going to get Haaland. So it's Osimhen. If you can get any one of those three, you've got to do it. And if we get Osimhen, it puts Jesus on the bench, in my opinion.
Unless he goes out wide, yeah, which off the left, I'm not too sure. And off the right, you're not playing because Saka's there. Really, it's even more problems for Arteta in a good way.
Yeah. And Osimhen has actually spoken about the fact that he wants to play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Vlahovic is on screen. He's done all right for Juve, actually. Like some people call him a flop. I think he's done all right. But Osimhen all day. Osimhen is like, you know, if you're looking at sort of a top 5 leagues team of the season,
he's there.
Osimhen might be a starter.
Him and the other Napoli lad, the winger, I wouldn't mind him as well. I can't pronounce it. Yeah, he's a crazy player as well.
Unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. So listen, I want Arsenal to go and sign a top striker in the summer. And let me ask you this. You know, I said we'll come back to the Tierney for Gomares thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Granit Xhaka, how good has he been this season?
Quality player, man. Different gravy this year, man.
Now let me ask you, Granit Xhaka world class?
No.
Exactly.
And that's not a disrespect to him. He's not
exactly. So you're answering it honestly, and I like that. He's done brilliant, but he's not world class. We can do better. If we have, let's say, 100 million to spend, and then we sell a couple, a Tierney, Nketiah or Balogun, whatever it might be, and we can go and prize Jude Bellingham to the carpet, do everything you can. He would be the person that would take us onto another.
Our midfield's gone up several gears there. Yeah, 100%. I would do that if that's what you're asking me. 100%. I am weary of getting rid of the Xhakas than these guys because I think we need that experience in the champs. But you have Jorginho, so it kind of makes it redundant. But 100% because I like you said, Xhaka's been a quality player. Me and you have spoken about him on many live streams. He isn't misunderstood. But as much as I like Xhaka, we need to replace him before it becomes evidently clear he needs replacing. That doesn't necessarily mean get rid of him. It's a bit like with Tierney. Zinchenko had a bit of knocks at the start of the season, and it was seen as there were just 2 flexible options. Zinchenko eventually came in, and like with Tomiyasu on the right-hand side, they've just naturally become squad options. I think that kind of needs to happen with Xhaka. An unpopular opinion, as great as he is, one of the best in his role in world football, indirectly, I think we need that with Thomas Partey. I think we need it with a number 8 and a 6, really, if we're going to go to that next level. Because when I look at it, you know, we've got a lot of players with their best years in front of them. We've even brought Kyria in defensively. Going forward, we've got that. Where you look at the midfield, and I do like the experience, but there's a lot of question marks over their uncertainty. You know, if we keep progressing, I don't know who's going to be there within the next 2 years out of all the pure centre mid options. So I do like Jorginho, El Nene, Xhaka, and the rest of them, but midfield. So would you rather upgrade midfield or up front? You could only get one. Significant upgrade, whether it's Osimhen, Bellingham, these kind of caliber of players with them fees. You can only have one area.
I find it hard to say the position, but I find it easier when we're talking about an individual. Bellingham is my dream. He's my dream signing.
Don't think you're alone there, man.
Bellingham is like, he's just a bully. He's just not a very nice person, you know?
You forget how young he is as well. It's scary what he could be, man. We can't miss out on that. I wish we could do it, man.
He just rocks up and just makes you look like a mug. He's dominant, absolutely dominant. You cannot touch Bellingham.
It's crazy.
When people talk about Declan Rice, I'm like, yeah, Rice is good, but when you consider him versus Bellingham, it's a no-brainer.
And similar fees as well, from 75 to 100 odd. You're
right.
right.
I think Bellingham will go in excess of that.
Yeah, personally. Even that. You're looking maybe even 120, 150. We've seen every day something unrealistic.
But honestly, if someone said, like, let's go and spend 130 million on Bellingham, look at his age. Absolutely do it. But it's whether we can compete with the other teams on wages. That's the problem.
They've got Real Madrid, really. We can forget about that.
Yeah.
Really.
Man City might fancy a bit of Bellingham. Who knows? So I would want Bellingham more than anyone. But after that, then it would be Osimhen. So we have to see what happens and whether we can afford it. Hopefully Champions League. Well, obviously, we should be getting Champions League, right? So hopefully Champions League money starts making a big difference. If we do rotate, you know, and look at what Pep Guardiola's done this season. Who saw him shipping out Cancelo to Bayern?
Yeah, I mean, nobody.
So we have to be a bit ruthless at times. And you hit the nail on the head, DG, when you said replace him before it becomes evident he needs to be replaced.
What have you made of Jorginho and Trossard? 2 signings where many fans would have said, you know what, they're good for depth. And I agree with that. But I think they've both come in and said, you know what, forget all of that. We want to start. We want to be main players. We want to give Arteta headaches. Jorginho's obviously had a bit of an injury. I think Trossard's been a great player. Ironically, we don't know the diagnosis of his injury. Potentially might not even have a striker on Thursday. But I think they've done well, man. I think sometimes when we've brought in these shrewd additions in the Premier League, I know it didn't work with Cedric and Willian, we've reaped the benefits. And Trossard's been a very good signing, especially when you look over at Mudrik's fortunes at Chelsea right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Trossard was a no-brainer for me. Like, I'd been asking about him for a long time. You know, that conversation when people have who's the best players outside the top 6? For me, Trossard is always high on that list.
You see him play at the Emirates and dominate us week in, week out when we've played Brighton. So it's nice to have him at our club.
Exactly. Maddison, Trossard, Zaha, obvious names. Trossard was always a no-brainer for me. And it was a bit of I was a bit in doubt because he didn't leave Brighton on positive terms. So I thought maybe that might put us off. But, you know, he's such a good player. The surprising one for me has been Jorginho, because whilst I was supportive of the signing after we missed out on Caicedo, and actually I'm not as sold on Caicedo. I'm really not 100% that he is that guy and he's worth 80 million. He's a good player. I'm just not sure if he's really, truly that good. But when we signed Jorginho, I was like, listen, man, this is a Premier League proven player who's
Third
got
on Ballon d'Or list, as I keep reminding Chelsea fans now that we got him.
Yeah, and he's got like experience of winning trophies, and we're on that home stretch of trying to win a trophy. So his experience will be invaluable.
Massive character, as they say off the field as well, Jorginho. So
yeah, absolutely. You saw the way he was coaching on the touchline.
Yeah, you're right.
He's desperate for a title, man.
Literally.
So
literally.
I think they've both done really well. And when people were a bit too quick to write them off, I was a bit disappointed with that, because you look at title-winning squads. Arsenal have won titles with, you know, Ray Parles and Oleg Luzhny's and Joe Grimondis and Remy Gard.
Players that I not necessarily think to write home about. Shout out the wrong for Pele,
exactly,
though. But
exactly. You need that right mix, and Jorginho plays into that. So I think he's done very well. And we know what his frailties are. Off the ball, he's not dominant. I'm talking about Jude Bellingham, right? Jorginho's completely
he's a liability, even though he's done all right in that regards, to be fair.
I still feel like there have been a few moments where people have targeted him and have had a bit of joy. You know, Jorginho, maybe you'll notice it kind of like if I say it out loud, but often he'll just almost run from that physical battle and defend the space. He won't run with a man. He'll run diagonally to defend the area. And he just knows that he doesn't have that skill set. So he can be got at, but as long as he's not playing in week in, week out, he can do the job for us. And the reason why I talk about the dream signings is because in January, we didn't get either one of our first choice targets. We had, you know, the best part of 100 million for Mudryk, and then if not him, Caicedo. And we got Jorginho and Trossard. Means we've got money in the bank. Exactly. And that will be compounded with more money by summer and Champions League money. And that's why
getting rid of a couple as well. The Pepe's, the forgotten men at the club, Maries, and the wages that becomes available.
Brilliant point. And that's why I'm saying we can go and get someone big.
I'm with you on that. I'm aware you're pressed for time, so I'm going to ask you a couple more quick fire questions. I wanted to ask you about Ramsdale winning the clean sheet award and Saka potentially getting top assists. Obviously, you've got Kevin De Bruyne and you've got, I think, literally 2 teams doing better than us where Ramsdale's concerned. Do you think them 2 can get individual trophies in that regards?
I hope so. And you know, the thing is, right, if they do get it, especially Ramsdale, will likely win the league.
That's exactly. Clean sheets correlated to that. Yeah, we need a couple more of them, in my opinion.
He's behind Nick Pope, if I'm not wrong, in the clean sheets thing. So if he gets past him and then gets ahead of him, because Newcastle will still keep some clean sheets, then we'll likely win the league. Fingers crossed, man.
What about Saka and the assists? Obviously, he's got Kevin De Bruyne and some fantastic players, but he's giving it a good fight. I think he's on 9.
Yeah, he is. He's on 9 at the moment, isn't he? So who else has got more than him in the league this season?
Surely, maybe Salah's up there, you know, deceivingly. I think Salah's PR team have done him a bit there because although Liverpool are woeful, he's actually doing well in terms of numbers and everyone's whispering about it. Really.
Salah and Eriksen are on 7. Saka's on 9. Kevin De Bruyne is on 12. So
plus Haaland tax. So it's probably too much.
It's hard. But, you know, look, the thing is with Arsenal, we scored 4 against Villa, 4 against Everton, 3 against Bournemouth. If we're scoring that many goals a game, then, you know, Saka's in with a chance. But equally, Man City, you know, De Bruyne with Haaland, and they will have many games where they score a bucket load. So I think assists will be De Bruyne. But let's look at goal contributions, goal involvements, rather. Because De Bruyne is the benchmark. He sets the standard in this league, yeah? He's got 12 assists, but I think only about 4 goals. Something like that?
Something like that. Unfortunately, we gave him one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, he's got 4 goals. And when you look at Bukayo Saka, 9 assists and 10 goals. So he's on 19 goal involvements.
Decisive
to De
actions
Bruyne's
as well.
16. It just shows you how well Saka is doing. Even Ødegaard, even Martinelli doing really, really well
I
against.
think Martinelli's got more in the league than Saka, which tells you everything with Martinelli.
Yeah. So it tells you versus the benchmark set at De Bruyne how well these boys are doing.
What have you made of Smith Rowe and rumours that Arsenal are looking to sell him? Some fans are even entertaining selling him. For me, he stays there until he can't play no more. Really, I'm not going to give up on him of this season because people forget what you can't go back in time. But last season he was doing the business off the bench, starting the game. So the same way he gave me a reason to carry on and have some sort of faith when last season weren't really going on. I think I have to return that faith to Smith Rowe, and he's a Highland lad.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, I love Smith Rowe, Highland boy. We've got real quality. He's got an ability to ghost into areas and get goals, get assists. He's very, very deceptive about because he's not the quickest off the ball, but with the ball at his feet, he eats up ground like nobody's business. Very, very effortless in his directness. So again, he gives us something different. I would absolutely keep him in the squad, especially with his versatility as well. So for me, he has to stay.
My last question before I let you get out of here. There's rumours that obviously Nketiah's got a knock, Trossard's got a knock. If Trossard is injured, then who's playing up front? I assume this, big up Ambrose, I'm assuming this question is in relation to Sporting Lisbon away, bro, on Thursday.
Martinelli, perhaps. And then Reiss Nelson can go out wide. That could be the answer there.
I'm with that as well, really and truly. I know Arteta never fails to take an opportunity to tell us Smith Rowe can play as a false nine. I'm not really with that. Just because you said it, do you think Reiss Nelson's played his way into that team then? For Thursday,
for sure. He's my first name on the team sheet. And I don't mean that he's our best player or anything like that, but I just mean that given what he did, he has to start against Sporting. He has to.
What's your predictions for that game?
I think we'll either win or score draw. So
I'm going with 2-0 Arsenal. I need nothing less, man. I think we got to look towards resting players, man. If we can do the business there, Fulham away, give the players some extra minutes rest. You beat Fulham for me, you beat Leeds and you beat Palace. 9 points. I think I start to dream a lot more, bro. I can't lie to you.
Our April fixture list is tough, man. We've got a real tough fixture list in April. So when I looked at the fixtures and we had 6
Liverpool
games.
Early.
Say what?
I think we've got Liverpool early in April. I think and then Liverpool away at Anfield, which if we mess around defensively, you saw what happened to Man United.
Exactly. But we've got Leeds on 1st of April. And that Leeds game, including the 6 games, obviously we've already played 3 of them. Villa, Leicester, Bournemouth, and then we've got Palace, Fulham, Leeds. I think or is it Fulham, Palace, Leeds? But anyway, those 6 games.
Yeah, I think it's Fulham. Yeah, it's Fulham, Palace, Leeds. Sandwiched in obviously the sporting games.
We need to win. And that will be, we've done 3, we need to do the other 3, and that will be 18 points from 6. And it will mean that hopefully we've got a bit of a cushion, even more than what we've got right now going into our crazy fixtures, because Man City have got to play Liverpool. And I'm just hoping Liverpool can take some points off of them and give us a bit of a cushion. Because
I'm with you with that as well, man. I think we've got to look to go unbeaten until at least the international break and then take it from there. And I also feel we've got to take points off City, really, because as much as the season's been great, we've got a healthy points gap and mathematically it's possible. I just think you have to beat your direct rivals at some point. I know you're pressed for time, so let people know where they can find you if they don't already know. What content have you got coming? What have you already produced already on your channel?
So listen, just type in Arsenal Moh or Moh Haider on YouTube. You'll find my channel. Every single game within like an hour of full time, you're going to get my match reaction. So that's the staple. Absolutely need to check that out. And then after every single game, the next day, 5 p.m., you get my 5 at 5, where I talk about 5 things that don't necessarily get appreciated at that time. So for example, the Ramsdale save, just talking about how impactful that was. Things like that. If you scratch the surface a little bit more in the 5 at 5, some interesting stats that come out of it. Like, for example, there were so many that I could have used coming out of Bournemouth. But one stat, I don't know if you saw it, DG, that this game against Bournemouth, at one point we played an XI where for the first time since Arsene Wenger left, not a single player in the 11 had played under Arsene Wenger. So
see, that makes me a bit sad because it shows an end of a period, really. That's a rather sad stat for me as a disciple of Arsene Wenger.
So yeah, man, that's it. So you can check those bits of content out, and I do a Monday podcast that's on my channel every Monday at 8 p.m. as well. So subscribe to the channel. I'll see you there.
I mean, all of these things, as Mo has already addressed, should be out already, people. If you're on YouTube, you just simply have to click his name in the title and take it from there. Mo, as usual, it's a pleasure to have you. Pick your brains on everything Arsenal. Let me let you go, man, because I know you got something to do. I've been conscious of time, man. Take care of yourself,
Appreciate
my
that.
guy.
Lovely catching up.
In a bit, my guy.
There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think like.
In fact, do you know what? Let me deal with it. Big up Mo. Let me deal with a couple more questions. I feel like I left you lot on a sour note, people. Big up Mo as well. Make sure you're subscribing and all of those things. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think we need to sell Tierney for less than 50 because he's improved much since we paid 25. Listen, the reality is, when you talk about this transfer stuff, I think fans need to remember. I'm not saying you necessarily, but fans need to remember what a player's worth and what a team's willing to pay are two very different things. Mudryk, we was going to overpay. We was going to overpay for Moses Caicedo. We're potentially going to overpay for Declan Rice. As great as Jude Bellingham is, which me and Mo were waxing lyrical about, 120, 150 is a madness. I think we have to understand that's the market. I don't think we'll get 50 million for Tierney, but I'd love to see Edu get as close as he can. I want to make a profit on the 25 million. We owe a percentage to Celtic. As I said, for me, Tierney starts for a lot of clubs in this country. There's not many fullbacks in this league, in my opinion, better than him. There obviously is some. He's actually a first-team quality player. It's just Zinchenko, being a Premier League winner and whatnot with City, has come here and dislodged him. Again, he's 25. He's a Scottish international. We should be getting top money because he's going to go somewhere else and become seriously important, really and truly. I saw a question in relation to Kyria. I would like Kyria to start, get some minutes, or in general, get as many starts or as many minutes as possible. But we've got to remember, Sporting have a couple of suspensions. Going away to Portugal is not going to be easy. A massive club like Sporting are going to cause problems. You saw what they did to Spurs in the group stages. It's the last 16 of the Europa League. It is the last 16. As much as I like Kyria, and obviously he's played at a World Cup, I don't necessarily know if this is the game to play newbies. I'd want to see the same centre-half pairing, but probably going to see either Gabriel and Holding or Saliba and Kyria. I'm not too sure where Arteta ranks these partnerships. I'm not too sure if going to Sporting Lisbon away. I mean, you could start a strong team as Arteta's been doing in this league, win the game and take it from there, but yeah, man, it is what it is. I honestly believe we can win the double this season. Listen, the target for me in August was top 4 and go to the Europa League final. We're on course to go to the Europa League final. In relation to the league, listen, I don't know where we are in the league table. Let's just keep winning as many games as we come. And then come May, let's see where we can take it from there, really. But there's no point in me checking league tables and all of these sort of things, man. It's okay. Wenger's son Nelson scored the winner. Hey, shout out you, my guy. Oliver, one love. Even if we sell, make it hard for other clubs to buy, increase demand, top player. Amen, because no one's cutting us no slack. And Newcastle are going to become competitors, I'm not sure if you lot saw Bruno Guimaraes' comments, but he said, I'm convinced Eddie Howe will manage England one day. I'm convinced Newcastle will qualify every year for the Champions League. Newcastle, wow. Recently, they're kind of slowing down a bit. They've done absolutely superb this season. Eddie Howe is doing bits. And even if Eddie Howe's replaced one day by a higher caliber manager, they're doing all the right things. I know FFP makes it a bit difficult, but I'd be more confident if I saw Newcastle splashing mad sums, kind of what City were doing initially on Joe and all of them kind of guys there. I would be more happy if they were spending recklessly, but they're not. They're actually doing the right things. Tierney could very well rock up there and be a fixture. We was talking, as Mo said, we was talking with Tierney potentially being a captain. 2021, he signed a new deal and all of these things. Had we have not signed Zinchenko, Tierney would be playing week in, week out. He would go there, become a staple for Newcastle, become a player that's directly competing against us. Nobody does us any favors. So why do if we buy Moses Caicedo or Declan Rice, we're paying top money for what they're not really worth at that moment in time. Just like as we had to pay 50 million for Benjamin White, good player, but we bought him for 50 million off the back of one Premier League season. No one cuts us. I know you can't do business like this, but no one cuts us any favors. For me, obviously, the way we run our club, if Tierney says I want to go, he's been a good serviceman. Newcastle give us a fair offer. I don't think Arsenal will put up much of a fight against Newcastle and things like that. But I think Tierney would have to really make it clear that while I don't think Tierney's ever dropped his head and been misbehaving. I don't want to be here. I don't think we go anywhere really and truly from here. And I think, again, where Tierney being experienced, Xhaka, Jorginho, El Nene, as much as I sit here and I say Declan Rice, if you could, Jude Bellingham, this guy, that guy, Zubamendi, these players, some more realistic than others. I do think experience is overrated, but I don't think it can be overstated. And I think just because you get Champions League don't mean just tear up the team and make radical changes. We've done a bit of that and we've paid the price. Now it's just about little tweaks. Okay, Tierney and Tomiyasu, one season, you lot are the first choice fullbacks. All right, Zinchenko's coming in. Benjamin White, you're going over there. Saliba, you're going over here. Maybe next year, Xhaka, you're the guy right now. Next number 8, whether that's Odegaard or Smith Rowe playing there, whether that's one of the names we've been linked with, you become a squad player, Partey the same, and etc. etc. Again, I believe in Eddie Nketiah and Balogun, but if they're at the club and Eddie Nketiah maybe just doing this squad thing ain't good enough really, or cutting it because we're getting better, bring in the next one, Gabriel Jesus, for all his talents. We might find someone that does all of that stuff, but brings in a healthy catalogue of goals. We might even find someone better than Zinchenko, what he's doing right now, that kind of make that redundant. As Mo would say, we might find someone that can do that on the right-hand side, and Arteta might say, you know what, let me switch it up, really. You need good options, really. And City, we want to be like City, want to aspire to be a team like City. That's the avenue you need to go down. Of course, every year, every week, someone from City wants to leave. Cancelo's gone. Every second, Bernardo Silva to Barcelona. Today, Laporte, rumours to Barcelona. Gundogan might go. Any of them players that are on the bench for City, it seems like, woe is me in the media. You've seen it with Foden, with Mahrez, with Ake, with several guys, really. And I think, ironically, Sterling and Chelsea's fortunes, unfortunately, will change. But if you look at it, you cannot underestimate the value of squad players. Zinchenko weren't starting week in, week out for City, but you saw the impact he had. You saw what Jesus brought. You saw what Sterling brought. And City are still fighting on all fronts, but I'm pretty sure you speak to any City fan, they'll tell you they could have done with a couple of these players, really. So it all really depends. And really, whatever you get for Tierney, you're probably going to have to reinvest that to a suitable left back, because I will hold my hands up with Tavares, but I don't think he's the truth. He's doing well. Put yourself in the shop window. If Arteta can work his miracles, I'm all for that. If Arteta says he's going to rock with him, I'll rock with him as well. But I can't see it. I'll always give people a chance, but I can't see it. I must be Stevie Wonder to that. I can't see it. I'm not gassed off dribbling past 3-4 players and then booting it into Rose Ed. And I'm not trying to discredit Tavares. Done very well at Marseille on loan. Had some indifferent form at times. Gone through some really, really purple patches, I would say, of form to a degree as well. So pick him up, but no one's cutting us any slack. But Tierney's under contract for a significant while. He's a valued member. He was someone, like Mo said, that they were talking about giving the captaincy to. Pay up or go away. Yeah, on one hand, I don't want unhappy players in that, but a bit like Caicedo, with Brighton, you can stomp your feet and all of this. You're going to have to get on with it, really. We're not getting, and I believe this as well, I think we're 30 odd. I think initial bid of 25 million to Arsenal for Tierney, whether that's Juventus, because they've been linked, probably more realistically Villa, Leicester, or Newcastle. I think 25 million will get conversations started, and I think Arsenal will take 30-esque. We'll make a little profit. We'll run Celtic what we need to run, reinvest, and we keep it moving. I would like 40. If Edu got 40, it'd be good. And I want to see decent business with outgoings. Obviously, you look at it, players that probably got one foot out the door, there's only a couple of players you'd really say you make a profit on. Tierney, I think you can make somewhat a tidy profit. If you decide to sell Balogun, you can make somewhat of a profit, really and truly. With the Cedrics, with the Pepes, with Maurice, it's just about, righting the wrongs that we've done previously, freeing up the wages and ultimately resources. Tavares, you signed for 8 million. You can make 16, 20, regardless of what you feel. Lokonga, I don't know what we're doing. Ainsley, I don't know if his contract's expiring this year or next, but he seems to have turned a corner at Southampton. Could he sit on the bench? I'm not really with it. Let's try and get some money because we rejected 20 million. Is what it is. If we're going to sell Newcastle we'll have to charge extra. I understand, but we're not in a rush to cash him out, but we can wait until 30, 40 million offers. I'm with that as well. The only time the league position matters is at the end of the season. Amen. People, we need more likes on the video. Marvel, appreciate you for running up that one. Tierney at Newcastle sounds dangerous. Should we be strengthening competitors like City aided us? That's a great point. And when we try and do our occasional shopping at City in the summer, they're probably going to think twice if there is any, really. If Edu can't get 45 million, side-eye, fullbacks know a fullback when they see one. Dream come true. We would win the Premier League this season and go in the summer and buy Reiss and Leao. We'd be the most talented team in Europe with the genius in charge. I'm not sure most talented, and unpopular opinion, I don't want Rafa Leao unless Arteta can assure me that he can convert him to a striker. And I don't mean that to discredit Rafa Leao. I think he would make us a lot stronger. I do think he's got the ability to play on the up front as well and on the right. But for me, you're a left winger. And if anything, you know, that seems to be where we've probably got the most options to flirt with. Right hand, obviously Martinelli, Trossard Nelson can go over there, but it's Saka or nothing essentially. Left hand side, you've now got, you can play Smith Rowe, you can move Jesus out there if we're forcing it. Nelson's obviously there, and several other, Martinelli, if I didn't say his name, and there's probably one guy I'm missing out. Really, that's probably the area I would like to address. So while I'd like Leao, I probably want to strike. Again, you've heard Arteta wants a guy that can play across the front three positions, which might be him, but I don't know how good Leao is off the right. I don't know how good he is up front. I know you look like you perform really well off that left, so I'm not too sure on that. Declan Rice, if Arteta is all over it, then I want it. But, you know, if it was up to me, we'd have to accept that. Obviously, we're going to overpay for him. We're going to have to just accept that one. But is there, could we shop in La Liga or something and get something, you know, a bit more value for our money? It might not be as sexy, it might not be as glamorous, it might not sell mad shirts at the time. But yeah, man. Since we're wanting our fullbacks to invert, do you see a future where Ainsley plays as a fullback in our Arteta system, or do we go for someone else? I mean, he's had a future with Mikel Arteta. Obviously, he's playing free at the back, but it could be something for him. But I'm not too sure. And to go back to Tierney, could you argue Tierney's even third choice left back? Because when I might be lying, but I'm pretty sure either Villa away or Leicester away, one of them games there, Tomiyasu came on and played left back. Tomiyasu started against Mo Salah, not Kieran Tierney. So does Arteta, obviously I don't think it's like this. I think he said, you know what, Tomiyasu's skill sets means I can set him on Salah. And I don't think he believes Tierney can't. But why did he elect for Tierney to start on the bench and Tomiyasu there? Why does he pick, beyond the obvious, why does he elect for Zinchenko? So these are all the things that are probably playing Tierney's mind. What I would say to Tierney, this is the first time in your Arsenal career that you've been met with any adversity away from the injuries, really. This is what's going to happen. And even Newcastle, you know, he's 25, Tierney. You know, you'd imagine within that period, Newcastle are going to dramatically improve and they might have the same conversation. So I'm not sure. Good afternoon, DG. Big up yourself, Darren. Do you think the Tierney situation just proves the predicament we're in regarding the striker role? Balogun, Eddie, Jesus, and people want one big signing, players want games. I mean, I think injuries have shown, you know, with Jesus, with Nketiah and Trossard right now, there's no escaping injuries. And if we want to be a team that's going to aspire to challenge for multiple trophies, then you need a squad. But a byproduct of that is that, like, I want Balogun to stay. I wouldn't be in a rush to sell Eddie, and he's on 100 bags, so that probably complicates things. But if we were to go and get Osimhen or whatever striker that is, everything I want in a forward, then I'm for that if they said they had to sell Balogun and do things, because as much as I want Balogun to develop, he might go somewhere else and we say what could have been. But hey, we kind of need some guys here for now to a slight degree. I mean, if you put the money down for Osimhen, it's a madness, and we might, but with the money we'd have available, but then you're looking at 180 to 100 million on Osimhen. You're probably looking on 70 to 90 sort of based on the centre mids we're linked with in terms of marquees away from additional signings. And that's without talking about any other areas Mikel Arteta wants. So I'm not too sure. Does Ben White invert? I don't think so. He overlaps with Saka perfectly. I mean, he does make it a 3-2-5 at times off the ball, but I think he's got the perfect blend of when to overlap with Saka, when to make the underlap, and when to just be a bit more reserved, really. Obviously, Tomiyasu is more conservative, and sometimes you need to judge footballers on that. Tomiyasu is never going to be the guy going forward, but you are going to be a good player. And I wouldn't sell Tomiyasu because I know he hasn't shown it in the last opportunities, but he's a good player. You know, he does well defensively. He's a man for the trenches. He's extremely versatile. God forbid, but if you suffer any similar to we've got injuries in the final third, if anything happens to Gabriel or Kyria, Tomiyasu is also an option as a left-sided centre back. Let's remember Arteta a few weeks ago said you can't tell me what foot Tomiyasu is. I think I'm starting to believe, you know, the evolution of this. Maybe Tomiyasu might have to do. You still play right back here and there, but maybe it's a centre half thing for you. Don't know how many games you get there, but. And the thing with Tomiyasu and a couple of these players, we've had it before at Arsenal. I don't like players that can play in a lot of positions but do none of them well. It doesn't matter. When we've actually got players now like Tomiyasu that can evidently perform at right back, at left back, I back him at centre half. I swear he plays there for Japan as well. And we got to remember, Tomiyasu he don't look it because he's mad mature and the way he behaves, but he's not the oldest of players. Tomiyasu is, I'm sure you're 24. Yeah, you're 25 this year. He's got a year on Tierney. Tierney's not the oldest. Neither is Odegaard. So these players are going to grow and get better and all of these sort of things. Jack of all trades, master of none, potentially, they say, but I don't think that applies to Tommy. A Premier League win in Champions League next season should put enough in our purses for one of these big players. You got to go out there and win them trophies there first, man, really. I think Zubamendi and Reiss would be a centre mid set. Both are realistic. It shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, Zubamendi, 40-odd million release clause, 50 or something like that. Make it happen. If we really scouted and we really want it, make it happen, really. Just like with Partey for 45, make it happen. Over and over again, B. Jesus said, Paddy, I sung it again, so I think I'll get up and I'll sing it again. Come on. What else are you lot saying, man? Don't forget, people, please do me a favor, smash the like button. Also, smash the like button and subscribe to Moh Haider, who's with us. Don't forget, people, later today, 7:50 better yet. So in a couple of hours, we're watching Chelsea versus Dortmund. Tomorrow, we're watching Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern PSG. Thursday, obviously, an hour before kickoff, we'll begin our watch along for Sporting Lisbon against Arsenal, where it's one of them. I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta if I'm real with you, lot, purely because do you go strong? Do you rotate? Fulham away? I can't lie, people. For me, the next 9 points are very crucial, purely because Leeds are fighting for their lives. Palace are a bit dodgy at home and away against us, negatively and positively. Fulham are fighting for Europe. Now, I expect to win. They've got Leno. I don't really want a crazy away game. You know, Arsenal, as much as I like the dramatics and the semantics against Bournemouth, I want a boring game. Just rock up there, win the game, make it a foregone conclusion like we was doing at the start of the season. I don't want no dramatic comebacks and things. As much as I like the highlights of the Villas and the Bournemouths and even a couple more, you know, Fulham at the Emirates, even that, don't make it like that, really and truly, where Eddie had to come off the bench and impact the game, improving from mistakes. I want a boring game. It's a big week for us. And obviously, you know, we're getting injuries. There's been a lot of games. You have to start thinking about player workload and all of that sort of jazz as well. So it's going to be interesting, really, to see what Mikel Arteta does, people. But yeah, on that note, let me actually get out of here. I thought I'd get to the hour mark for you lot. Appreciative to you lot that have been tuned in today across Twitch and YouTube. Your opinions, your listening, your engagement, etc. I appreciate the support you give me, and I appreciate what you're doing for the channel. Please make sure you're subscribing and turning on your reminders and things like that. Again, subscribe to Mo. He was kind enough to give us 45 minutes of his time today. As I said, 7:50 today and tomorrow. First up, Chelsea Dortmund. Tomorrow, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain from 7:50, 4:45 UK time on Thursday for Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal. I hope you're having a great week. Stay blessed, stay safe. I'm out.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like there's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like